GCPS teachers. Today, we would like to talk to you all about task-based instruction. We have two different types of lessons on the ecom. One type, the traditional teacher-led lessons, are what most of you already know about. This type of lesson is where the teacher shares his or her expert thinking and teaches new concepts to students. We are able to begin with an activating strategy that sparks the interest of our students in what we call low floor, high ceiling experiences, in which all students are able to enter the experience with or without mathematical understanding. After we have piqued their interest, teachers lead their explicit think aloud about the mathematical concepts and allow students to practice with a thinking partner. Traditionally, this is the time that we progress through our standards through concrete experiences with manipulatives, representations where we might make a model to represent our thinking, and finally bridging this understanding to abstract thinking. Next, students participate in small groups where they work collaboratively to complete a task or assignment, and the teacher pulls small groups based on formative data to either extend or support students' thinking and skills. Finally, we bring the students back together to summarize their learning from the day. Today, however, we are going to focus our attention on task-based instruction. Many of you have already tried 3-act tasks in your classroom. This is a version of what we consider task-based lessons. On your pacing guides, you might even see an inquiry-based lesson. This is also considered a task-based lesson. Task-based lessons allow students to learn new mathematics or extend their current understanding by working collaboratively to solve problems with multiple solution pathways. Typically, teachers do not provide instruction prior to students engaging in the task. It allows students the opportunity to productively struggle and grapple with their mathematical thinking. Most of you have seen a document that looks similar to this one in the past from our office. We have made a couple of tweaks and changes to the overall appearance, but it is essentially the same work as you plan for differentiated small groups. This is a fluid document, meaning that you most likely will go back and forth throughout the document as you plan, prepare, and implement task-based lessons in your classroom. As always, we begin both traditional lessons and task-based lessons with understanding of the AKS and IOAs. Using the GCPS resources, teachers will determine specific student outcomes by analyzing the standards and the IOAs. If you're in grades 3 through 5, you'll consider the achievement level descriptors. Be aware of student skills previously taught and what skills students will need to have to be successful in the following year, and also identifying those learning targets. Today, though, we're going to take a look at the assessment and instruction portion of this document and how the document supports our task-based instruction in the classroom. In a task-based lesson, we move back and forth between assessment and instruction. Once you have selected the rich mathematical task based on learning goals, and before implementation in the classroom, you will want to complete the task yourself and anticipate possible student responses. This helps you to anticipate possible areas in which students may struggle within the task and think through possible questioning to rescue the student's thinking, but not rescuing the answers during the task. You will also anticipate how you may collect data on student understandings and misunderstandings. You will also determine how and why you are grouping students together. This may be from observational data on how well students work together, or how they approach new tasks if the task-based lesson is at the beginning of the unit. Or you might use previous data collection if you are well into the progression of the standards. During this time, you will also need to determine what scaffolding might need to take place during the lesson in regards to which manipulatives need to be available, which student support might be needed for learners, and what scaffolding might need to take place for our varying student groups, such as our multilingual learners or students with learning disabilities. These are all things that need to occur prior to implementation of the task. During the task, as students are participating, you will collect data as you check for student understanding. Be responsive in the moment and monitor student understanding through purposeful questions to ensure rescue thinking versus rescuing answers by telling the students how to solve. This is also a great time to collect anecdotal data on students as they are solving the task. These are based off of those anticipated misconceptions or pitfalls that the students might have as they are progressing through that task. To reiterate, all of the yellow highlighted portions of the chart indicate that these steps should occur before the task-based lesson is implemented in the classroom to ensure success of its intended purpose to help students become competent problem solvers. The blue highlighted portions of the chart indicate teacher actions that occur during the implementation of the task-based lesson. Now that you have prepared and selected a task-based lesson from the ECOM, now what? What does this type of lesson format look like and sound like in the classroom? Let's begin with the launch of the lesson. During this time, you are setting the scene for the task. Very similar to the activating strategy of the traditional teacher-led lesson, you are having your students come to the front of the classroom and gathering for the launch of the lesson. During this time, you are activating students' prior knowledge or interest. This may be through a video, children's literature, charts, or anything you might see as a connection or interest for the students. In this fourth grade example, the teacher reads from Too Many Tamales. This is a story about a little girl named Maria who is helping her mother prepare their traditional Christmas dinner of tamales. The teacher might also share a personal story about a traditional dish that his or her family makes during the holiday or for special occasions. You could also have students share a dish that is made by their family for holidays or special occasions. Typically, 10 to 15 minutes is spent launching the lesson. If you are sharing literature, remember, you do not have to read the entire story, just the section of importance or connection to the task. Next, we engage in the explore portion of the task-based instruction. This portion of the lesson is where you will want to spend the most time. Ideally, students will have 30 to 40 minutes to engage in the task. So, once curiosity has been piqued in launch, it is recommended that you present the students with the task without telling them how to solve. This is an opportunity for students to work together to try to figure out how to solve their situation without any teacher-led direction. Encourage students to embrace the productive struggle. The classroom becomes a busy noise of discussion, manipulative movement, and what I like to call controlled chaos. You may have students that seek your approval of ideas or strategies they are trying, but it is important that you are facilitating and not leading. Instead, asking those purposeful questions that are open-ended, but not directing students to an answer. We want to support their thinking, but not rescue them in guiding them to the answer. They will learn more if you support with questioning prompts and without just showing or telling them how to solve. This is also a time where the teacher is actively involved, taking notes, taking data, finding what students are thinking, the ideas and the strategies they are using, and how they're approaching the situation presented. You are able to pull a small group of students if you need to, if you are noticing a misconception about the process of a strategy the student or students may be using. But you being actively involved in each small group is in so many ways considered a teacher-led small group. During your circulation of table groups, it is also imperative for you to notice the range of strategies being used in the task, considering how the strategies are related to the other student strategies, and in what order you will want to share solutions later in the debrief portion of the task-based instruction. During this time, it is also important to consider ways to support student thinking without giving away their responsibility of designing a solution strategy and solving the problem or situation in a way that makes sense to them. On the previous slide, I alluded to the teacher asking purposeful questions without giving away how to solve or what the answer is. Here is a list of sample teacher question stems that support facilitation of task-based lessons. These questions put the thinking back onto the students while giving them a way to be successful. They become in charge of their own thinking. You can see that there are different questions that you can ask to help students that are stuck, such as, what strategies have you tried so far? What tools might help you with this problem? You can also ask questions like, look at these two approaches. How are they similar? How are they different? Helping students make that mathematical connection. You might even ask questions like, can you elaborate or clarify your idea? This especially helps those students that just want to rush to the answer or are not able to articulate their thinking. And then there's also, if you have a group that's just being extra quiet, you can ask questions like, what has worked? What has not worked? Who can add on to that same idea? I will show you where you can find this resource at the end of the video. So we've gone through lunch, we've gone through the explore, and now we're going to finalize with our culminating debrief. In the final portion of task-based instruction, it is important that we make sure that we come back together as a group, just like in our traditional teacher-led instruction. We need to come back together and have a conversation. It is usually the last 10 to 15 minutes of the math block, a time devoted for the students to share their strategies and solutions they found. If you are having your student groups complete the tasks collaboratively on poster paper, have the students place their work on the board or around the room for their classmates to review. If you are not having students complete their thinking on poster paper, I recommend that you use a document camera to share students' work. While you have students share, and again, this may be from specific groups that you have identified, you may consider capturing student strategies on a single anchor chart so that you can help students see how they are related to other student strategies, making those connections to the mathematical thinking of the different groups. This is also an opportunity for you to reinforce appropriate mathematical vocabulary as well as the progression of understanding of the different strategies. This is also a time that students are made aware that they are part of a mathematical community of learners where students feel comfortable taking risks and sharing ideas, where they respect one another's ideas even when they disagree, and where ideas are defended and challenged respectfully, and logical or mathematical reasoning is valued. Many times we may need to teach our students about our expectations during this time. Students should be respectfully listening to others' ideas and strategies. Okay, so this is all great information, but now what? Take a leap. Give task-based instruction a try. You will find task-based lessons throughout our pacing guides found on the e-com. Planning is key. Being prepared to facilitate is often a different experience for teachers who, in their heart of hearts and full of good intention, often lead students in how to think and how to answer. We are not saying to throw out our traditional teacher-led instruction, but to balance instruction with task-based instruction. Students will be engaged and often will surprise us with their thinking and problem-solving strategies. Allow me to show you where you can find more information about task-based instruction on the eComm. So traditionally, you guys will go straight to your grade level, but instead what I'd like for you to do is go down to our Math Office button on the office's homepage. After you have chosen the Math Office button, you will scroll down until you see GCPS Math Instruction. This is a link that will take you directly to the Google site that houses all of the information about not only the traditional teacher-led instruction, but also task-based instruction. But before I do that, I do want you to know that if you click any of the pieces of the pie chart or the different parts of the task-based instruction, it will lead you directly to that portion of the Google site. I, however, am going to take you to the Google site by clicking here. Here on the Google site, you will also find active links and examples of each component of not only the traditional teacher-led instruction, but also the task-based lesson. Also want you to see that we have two different tabs at the top. So you could go to your teacher-led or your task-based. I'm going to go ahead and hit that task-based. And once you've done that, it will tell you where to find more information. So all of these are active links that will take you to each portion of the task-based instruction. So if I start off with lunch, it will go over the same information that I gave you, as well as an example of a 5th grade launch of a lesson that we showcased in one of our boot camps last year. Then you can also, when you get to the bottom, you click back. It will take you back to this page, and you can go to the Explore, where they'll also give you that same information and give you an example of that 5th grade classroom during the Explore. Remember when I talked to you about those purposeful questions? If you push this link right here, you will find those that you can print out and have available when you are in the middle of a task-based lesson. And if I also go all the way to the bottom, click back to task-based, I can go to the culminating and once again be able to find all of the information and an example of the reveal, the debrief, the culminating debrief here. So that's a great resource for you. So especially if you are a traditional teacher-led instructing teacher and you want to go and try some of the task-based, you can go back here to help you remember all the things that we discussed today. With all of this information shared, you may still want some more support or learning about task-based instruction. You can check out our boot camps from January 2023 to see recordings of our task-based instruction in your specific grade level. When you go to the Math Office page and you go all the way to the bottom, past where I showed you today, you will find a button that says Boot Camp Resources, where you can go through and find the 2023 boot camps and be able to see those. Or you can email or call me. I am here to support you. I can be your thought partner. You can ask me the questions that you might have, but we are here for you to support you and to help you give the experiences to our students that involve task-based instruction. We really do hope that you give it a shot and give it a try and share with us your success. Share with us things that you want to try differently the next time. But good luck to all of you, and I promise you this is going to be a fantastic experience for your students as well as for you. You just have to take the leap. Have a great day.